The Zack Files. Bozo the Clone. By Dan Greenburg. Chapter 1. I don't usually go to school wearing nose glasses, a long trench coat, and my dad's Indiana Jones hat. But today was different. Nose glasses, in case you didn't know, are fake glasses with a fake nose and mustache on them. The reason I was wearing these things was the Three Stooges. I don't mean Moe, Larry, and Curly either. I mean Alex, Mort, and Wesley, these three bullies who hang out near my school. They're about 2 years older than me and a lot bigger. I was trying to sneak past them so they wouldn't get me like they did yesterday. They ganged up on me and pulled my pants down. And it was just my luck. I happened to be wearing a pair of old tighty-whities. I'm used to having weird problems to deal with. Like leaving my body and not being able to get back inside it. Or meeting a volcano goddess in Hawaii and having her put a curse on me. The only weird thing about this problem was that it wasn't weird at all. The Three Stooges were your typical, steal your lunch money and tie your shoelaces together kind of bullies. You probably know the type. Can I ask you a personal question? How do you handle bullies? My best friend, Spencer Sharp, has an IQ of either 160 or 1600, I forget which. He can kind of distract bullies with big words. They sort of forget what they're doing when Spencer starts talking about retaliation and titigation. And Vernon Manchufel, who's in my class but not my friend, cries and sweats all over them. I'm never sure what to do. My dad says, Zack, all bullies are cowards. If you just stand up to them, they'll back down. I believe that. I also believe they might crack your head open like an egg. Now I happen to be the third fastest runner in the 5th grade at the Horace Hyde White School for Boys in New York City. So mostly what I do when bullies start in on me is run like crazy. This morning I was taking no chances. I had my disguise. I was wearing new running shoes. And I was taking a different route to school. About halfway there, I found one of the streets blocked off. There were these huge trailer trucks parked all over the place. What's going on? I asked a policeman. They're shooting a movie, he said. It's called Drop Dead, Tough Guy. Haven't heard of that one, I said. Well, of course you haven't heard of it. They haven't made it yet. Are you in show business? Not really, I said. Why do you ask? I mean, the way you're dressed. Oh, I said. This is just a disguise. The policeman gave me a funny look. But he let me watch the scene they were shooting. It was a fight scene. The good guy was surrounded by 3 bad guys. The actor playing the good guy looked real familiar, only I don't know his name. An actor playing one of the bad guys started to throw a punch at him. Cut, yelled the director. The fight stopped. Stunt double. The actor whose name I don't know walked out of the scene. Another guy who was dressed just like him walked to the same spot in the scene. His stunt double. And action, yelled the director. The fight got going again. The first bad guy punched the stunt double in the nose. Another bad guy picked up a trash can and bonked the stunt double on the head. Woof! That must have hurt. I looked over at the actor whose name I didn't know. He was sitting on a chair, drinking a Dr. Pepper, having his hair combed. That got me thinking. Wouldn't it be great if you could get stunt doubles in real life? Like to handle bullies at school? I turned back to the policeman. Excuse me, officer, I said. Do you have any idea how much a stunt double costs? I thought maybe I could line up somebody just for a day or two. Stunt doubles, said the policeman. Those guys make around $100 an hour. Rats. I only get $5 a week allowance. So it looked like I'd have to find another answer to my bully problems. Chapter 2. I made it to school without running into the Stooges. While I was stashing my disguise in my locker, Vernon Manchufel came up to me. Nice underpants you were wearing yesterday, said Vernon. What kind do you have on today? Ones with Mickey Mouse on them? It was a pretty stupid joke, but Vernon didn't think so. He cracked himself up. Vernon is this big, sweaty kid who is not my friend. Anyhow, when he gets nervous, he tends to puke. The Three Stooges picked on him for a while, too. Then one day he puked all over them. After that, they left him alone. Actually, everyone in the whole school leaves Vernon alone. I left Vernon by the lockers, still laughing at his own joke. I went and found my friend Spencer. We headed for our homeroom. The Stooges got me again yesterday, Spencer, I said. They pantsed me. I don't know what to do. What I really need is someone who looks just like me who could stand up to those bullies. Like a stunt double. Spencer nodded. Or a clone, he said. That would be even better. A clone. I stopped in the hallway. I looked at Spencer and nodded. Yes. A clone. That made sense. Later in science class, I was still thinking about clones. Mrs. Coleman-Levin was showing us how water expands when it freezes. If you want to know the truth, I didn't really care what happens to water when it freezes. Zack, said Mrs. Coleman-Levin. Do you have any questions? That's her way of nailing you when you aren't listening. Yeah, I said. How do you go about cloning somebody? We weren't speaking about cloning, she said. We were speaking about what happens to water when it freezes. I know that, I said. But how does cloning work? Maybe if I understood that, I could understand what happens to water when it freezes. She laughed. Mrs. Coleman-Levin is pretty cool. Well, she said, cloning is a way that scientists can make copies of a living thing. All they need is a tiny sample of its body. I'm sure you've read how scientists have been able to clone sheep. I had, but that wasn't any help. The Three Stooges picked on kids, not farm animals. Could you clone a person? I asked. Maybe someday, she said. How long would it take to clone a person? I asked. Just give me a ballpark figure. She smiled. How long would you like it to take? Around 24 hours, I said. Well, I hate to disappoint you, she said. But it would take quite a bit longer. Rats! Clones took too long. And stunt doubles were too expensive. What I needed was something fast and cheap. Chapter 3. Before I left school, I slipped on my disguise for the walk home. I knew that bullies attack when you least expect it. So I was expecting it as much as possible. It turns out bullies also attack you when you most expect it. I know this now because less than a block from school, Alex, Mort, and Wesley jumped out of nowhere and blocked my path. Get a load of Zack's outfit, said Mort. I guess my disguise needed work. Wesley sneered. You look cool, Zack. But I don't like the pants. Do you, Alex? Nope, I think the pants should go, said Alex. He tried to yank my pants down around my ankles. Then Mort grabbed my nose glasses and ripped off the nose. And Wesley snatched the Indiana Jones hat off my head. He started tossing it back and forth with Alex. Cut it out! I cried. That hat is my dad's. If the Stooges messed it up, I'd be in big trouble. Hey, look! A cop is coming, I shouted. The Stooges all turned around. Of course there wasn't a cop. They aren't called the Three Stooges for nothing. I snatched the hat and started running like a madman. The bullies chased me for about 6 blocks. I was holding onto the hat with one hand and holding up my pants with the other. Did I mention that I'm the 3rd fastest runner in the 5th grade? Well, on any other day I would have outrun Alex, Mort, and Wesley, no problem. But the pants were kind of slowing me down. I could hear the bullies catching up. I flew around the next corner. An open gate was up ahead. I raced through it and almost ran smack into a crowd of people. I stopped and took a quick look around. What was going on here? I tried pushing my way through the crowd. I was in a big lot filled with long tables. The tables were covered with all kinds of stuff for sale. It was a flea market. In case you didn't know, a flea market is a place where people go to buy or sell just about anything. I don't know why they call it a flea market. I mean, I've been to lots of flea markets and I never once saw them selling fleas. I ducked behind the nearest table and looked back toward the entrance. Alex, Mort, and Wesley were searching for me. But there were too many people. Too many places to hide. Soon they got bored and left. When I was sure they were gone, I crawled out from behind the table. There was a painting of Elvis Presley on black velvet for sale, and a sculpture made out of hubcaps, and a very fancy brass box. I picked up the brass box. You like box? Said this high, crackly voice in back of me. I jumped about a foot in the air. I mean, I wasn't expecting anybody to talk to me. A short old man dressed in long orange robes was grinning at me. His head was totally bald and shiny. His face had tons of wrinkles. Peeking out from under his robes were red high-top sneakers. He was wearing a button that said, "Have you hugged your yak today?" "It's from Tibet, this box," he said. "You like to buy him?" "Don't think so," I said. "What's it for?" He grinned. "For much things. Comes with special instructions in 27 languages. "Oh, really?" I said. He took the box and opened it. Inside was a little book. He was right. There were instructions in languages I'd never even seen before. I found the ones in English. Well, some Tibetan guy's idea of English. How to do much things with special box, it said on the cover. Inside there was a table of contents. How to milk yak was one of the headings. I didn't think I'd have too much use for that. How to keep abominable snowman out of vegetable garden, said another. Somehow I didn't think I'd be using that one much either. How to make tulpa, said a third one. What the heck is a tulpa? I asked. Tulpa, said the old man. Tulpa is copy you can make of person. Except copies are not flat, they, three-dimensional? I said. He nodded. Yes. Also, not small. Same size as original. And super strong. Nothing hurt Tulpa. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. An exact copy of me, except super strong and unhurtable? I asked the guy how much the box cost. It was kind of expensive, but a real bargain compared to a stunt double. I'd never heard of a tulpa before, but it seemed like the perfect answer to my Stooges problem. Chapter 4. I went home to my dad's apartment. My folks are divorced, and I spend half my time with each of them. Anyway, as soon as I got inside, I stuffed my disguise in the hall closet so my dad wouldn't see it. Then one popped my head into his study. Dad was in there, typing away like a madman on his computer. He was working nonstop on some article for Modern Man magazine. It was about ways to look younger, I think. Why the heck would anybody want to look younger? Older I could understand. Hi, Zack. What did you do today? Dad asked. What did I do today? Well, I thought, let's see. I had my pants pulled down. I ran for my life from a bunch of bullies. I met a crazy old guy, and I bought a magic box. But I could see Dad was really busy, so all I said was, oh, you know, stuff. Great, said Dad. He was trying to look interested, but his eyes kept slipping away to his computer screen. You could tell he was dying to start typing again. I went into the kitchen and ate the peanut butter and jelly sandwich Dad had left for me. It had the crusts cut off, the way I like it. And then I headed for my room. Probably I should have told Dad about the Three Stooges. But I wanted to stop the bullies without his help. So far, nothing that bad had happened. No girls had seen me with my pants down. Only my plastic nose got broken, not my real one. And maybe tomorrow I'd have a tulpa to defend me. I took the brass box out of my backpack and opened it. I turned the instruction book to the section marked How to Make a Tulpa. I began to read. Greetings. So you wish to use special box to make tulpa. Very nice. But remember, tulpa is not real person. Tulpa must not vote, operate heavy machinery, or play New Jersey Pick 6 Lotto. Hashtag tulpa does not need to eat, except sometimes Kit Kat bars. Tulpa does not need to bathe. Just wipe it off every few days with a damp cloth. Most important warning, please to never, ever, ever feed tulpa peanuts. Okay, all that seemed easy enough. Now on to making the tulpa. You now ready to make tulpa, said the book. Please to put photograph of person you wish to copy in box. I looked around for a photograph of myself. The only one I could find was my school picture from last year. It's not too great. Okay, it's awful. It's kind of fuzzy and out of focus. My hair is all sticking up, and I have this really goofy grin on my face. Spencer says it makes me look like Bozo the clown, but it was all I had. I put the picture in the brass box. I continued reading. Now, please to shake box with great gusto. I wasn't sure what gusto was, but I picked up the box and shook it pretty hard. Nothing happened. I put the box down. I figured my school picture was too stupid to work. Suddenly, I heard something. A very tiny noise was coming from inside the brass box. Then the box started jiggling. A little like Mexican jumping beans. Then, and I swear this really freaked me out, the lid of the box raised up about half an inch, and a finger crept out of it. I backed away from the box. I mean, let's face it. If you were all alone in your room with a brass box, and a finger crept out of it, you'd probably back away from it, too. 3 more fingers crept out of the box. Then an entire hand slid out of it. By now I was at the opposite end of my bedroom. Dad was still at his computer. But I didn't think he'd appreciate me yelling, "Dad, hurry! A hand is creeping out of this brass box I bought." I mean, that might break his concentration. Now the hand was followed by an arm. Then a second hand slid out of the box. The hands pushed back the lid of